What is happening, budget builders, and welcome back to the channel. We were actually here purchasing another car, and of course we've got to ask, sure enough, there's another cool one back here, and you can't quite see it. We're gonna have to dig it out of here, but it is a 1962 Ford Fairlane two-door post V8, and it's an all original car that was parked here in 1993. Let's start digging this thing out. Let's get it uncovered. We're going to rescue it, and we're going to attempt to get it running in this episode. How cool is this? When you think barn find, this is what you think right here. Oh, and do you mind before we leave if we, look at that. Good enough. If we take a look at the Thunderbird? Sure. You know how it goes, you get your...
Oh yeah, I know.
Get your heart set on something and that's all. You bird dog it.
I get it.
Ooh, that's an ugly tire. But she gonna take air.
Well, the other thing that's unusual about the wheels on this car, they're 5-lug Ford wheels.
And they're 13s.
And they're 13s. You got it.
Yeah.
And there ain't very many of those around.
No, so... I see the crust on this. Hopefully it's not too bad. It's taking air, so that means the bead's good enough, right?
Yeah.
You probably won't believe it. We got all 4 tires to take air. Now, they're all 4 Maypops, but hopefully get us out of here. And neutral.
What's that?
So we ain't got to worry about it rolling.
No, it ain't gonna roll. It's not rolling away. I can assure you of that.
Got the table.
It's yours.
Thank you.
It's all yours.
Woo!
That might be an original spare.
I'm going to put all that back in the seats.
Yeah, you might. Yeah, I'll have to hold it. The only one spring's not enough.
Got a little bitty V8 in there. Old Sears 50. That's cool.
You had a pack rat.
Oh yeah, you can tell it's not.
That's a pack rat. Those are big pieces.
Oh, yeah.
we made it back. It was definitely a little aggravating getting this thing loaded on the trailer with our winch down. We were able to just pull it right off in here with the tractor, and now we can get under the hood and let's see what we're working with. Now, even though the engine is a little on the crispy side here, the engine bay is actually really crisp and really solid. You know, a lot of times, kind of like on our 61 Galaxy, you get a lot of surface rust and everything. And this one does have it, but it's surprisingly really nice. I think this is going to clean up really well. We got to see if we can get this thing to run. Ooh. Lots of moisture. I mean, to the point where this air filter actually rusted away. And there we can see even more of a rat's nest than we realized before. My goodness, this whole thing is packed full. Carburetor's pretty crunchy. You can see that C2 date code there, so it is a factory 62. So that's the original carburetor. And I imagine for the most part, this thing is fairly original. Need some fire starting wood. That's been there for a long time. It doesn't even weigh anything. It's all dried out. If this motor is not frozen, I am gonna thoroughly be surprised. Well, there's a motor under all that. I'm surprised as much was there. I mean, all of the valleys were just pure poop up to the top, that there is even valve covers left on this thing. But that's good. I'm happy about that. I think our next step, let's go ahead and spray down. Let's go ahead and soak these spark plugs and see if we can get them pulled out and get an idea of the internals on this engine. Sure. Instead. Wow, so surprising. So this is actually the first Ford Windsor-based engine. This is a 221 cubic inch, the predecessor to the 289 and the 302. This would later become the 260, actually in the same year, 1962. And it is a tiny, tiny, tiny little motor. It makes like 145 horsepower or something. We might break some spark plugs off in a head. I'm not sure. Oh, not too bad. Ow! Now I am going to go ahead and blow around these spark plugs now that we have broken it loose, on my side at least, and make sure none of this trash comes down in the cylinder. That is the Autolite 45. Been in there a really long time. Some carbon buildup and maybe signs of a little moisture, but not bad. Another one, really nice. Really nice. When I say really nice, they don't look great, but they don't look like they've had moisture on them. That's one of our main concerns at this point. Pretty good. We always just kind of get excited, and I hadn't even pulled the dipstick on this thing. Not full of water. It's, ooh, that is thick as molasses. Soak these cylinders full. Go, keep going. Don't let it stick again. Get it out of there. Oh, yeah, she's fine.
Hey, Spider Cricket. What you doing down there?
What you got?
Good looking truck.
Not too shabby. Not too bad. You see the little spider webbing maybe. Not sure if camera will pick it up, but that is signs of a little moisture. But not bad.
Yeah.
Little bit of moisture signs, but not terrible. Not bad. So it looks like we have signs of just a little bit of moisture, but very, very little, which is good considering what we saw down in that intake there and everything on top of the carburetor. But we're gonna go ahead and completely fill it up with PB Blaster. We'll let this thing soak for a while. Let's get a wrench on the front of it and see if it turns over. It's a 15/16 crank bolt. Oh yeah, baby.
Oh yeah?
You darn flipping straight. Oh yeah. These pulleys were super, super, super stuck. We've seen it on a lot of our cars. All this rust on the belt actually locks the pulleys in, and I bet that was some of that bind I had right there at the beginning, because it's relatively smooth sailing now. Now that we know our motor's free, before we even hook a battery to this thing and start turning it over, time to drain that oil. You know, a lot of these Fords have this big old 7/8 drain plug. Oh, shoot. Okay. Okay, I got it. Thank you, though. Yeah, thick but not sludge. Beautiful. Magnet, not a bit of metal on it. That finishes draining. Let's see if we can get on that old FL1A. That thing has seen better days. It's that thing too. There she goes. Beautiful. I smell such bad gas. Oh, just spinning the motor over by hand. Look, it's actually leaking through the just happened to get some whiffs of it. You can see just from us turning this over by hand, and it's actually weeping through this fuel line. That's how crunchy that fuel line is, but we need to disconnect that so that carburetor's not completely full. Golly, that's an old one.
Wish it had a date on it.
We probably wouldn't want to see the date if there was one. I'm going to add some zinc additive, just because we know the oils back in the day used to use quite a bit more. Not too shabby. The red for the positive. And the red ground is removed. Here we go. Uh-oh. Got a dome light. I don't think I want to sit in this thing. Oh, the speaker came on. Our fancy radio mic. Oh! Oh! Ah! Off. You ready? Oh, yeah. Nothing. Wonder if it has a... No way it's got a neutral. The flippin' neutral safety works in this, so I had it in neutral, but gotta have it in park. Wow!
What is it? Was it spinning that around? Or is it ratcheting it? Oops.
I think it was ratcheting.
That quite possibly could have been bad. We'd be like, man, this thing's knocking, ain't even running yet. Our points here are really crusty, but I'm just gonna try. Let's take some sandpaper and see if we can clean them up. Now, what I like to do is I'll leave it off the lobe so it is closed. I can take a screwdriver, open them up a little bit, slide our sandpaper in. Woo! Nasty. About as clean here as they're gonna get, and we can go ahead, I'm gonna ohm it out and see if we're making a connection. And we are, they may work. Let's go ahead and throw some power on it. This wire is pretty well chewed up. Thankfully, most of the wiring looks good, other than right here on the end. We can see our temperature cinder wire is pretty rough, and that power wire. I'm gonna check power though, and then we can actually go in there and repair that, add a new end to that wire. I'm gonna have Dad turn our ignition switch on and keep an eye on that for me and tell me if the voltage comes up. Go ahead. Look at that.
How do you take a picture?
We're gonna go ahead and spin it over. I'm gonna keep an eye right here in between our points. We're gonna look for a nice little blue-white spark. And then I also have our coil wire over here to ground, and we'll see if it jumps right there. Oh yeah. Hold on a second, hit it. All right. Hit it again. All right. We had one huge spark to begin with, and then all died. So points are still connecting well. I think our old condenser has kicked the bucket. That's what that big old spark was when we first started turning her over. And this is just a temporary, I don't have one, but I got one on the shelf, condenser, so we can see if it works or not. And that gap is roughly 17 thousandths. Oh yeah. Go ahead one more time. Sweet. Thing is firing like crazy. Let's go ahead and get our spark plugs put back in here. Let's get our wires on. We might have to build that carburetor. We've got those Autolite 45s gapped out to 35 thousandths and installed. Went ahead and got our cap and rotor back on, and then put our wires on. Pretty straightforward. You're numbered out right here on your intake. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You have a 1 that marks where your 1 should line up. Obviously, it could kind of go anywhere depending on if it was ever messed with. This one doesn't look like it has been. If we do have running issues, then we know we can line up on top dead center, figure out a number 1, and potentially move it if we need to. Although I am really excited to attempt to fire this thing up. As bad as this carburetor is, as crusty as it is, not only is it pretty crusty looking from up top here, we know the gas smells horrendous in this car, so there's no telling what's in that carburetor. And I hate to be sucking it down the intake when we can take 4 bolts off, a couple linkages, throw it on the bench, build it, and know we're safe.
Little clip for the choke. Let me get that out of the way. Surprisingly, not too bad. Definitely back in the day of better fuel by far. Pop your little clip off there, and out goes your float. Just got to remove our whole choke assembly there. The cover for the check valve. I don't think that would have done anything for us.
There's a 6. First thing I seen was 50 foot, and that was almost $100. What doesn't make sense? Oh yeah.
And it's pumping, wasn't it? That is super duper warped. Let's just go ahead and fix that because it will leak. So on these little square mount plates on the Fords, something we commonly have to deal with is, I don't know if you can tell, but this is super warped right here. You see these have a step down, which doesn't help, but being over tightened makes a big difference. And then also, this has quite a bit of warping too. You can see I've already got, I had to put our new push rod in there. But we might as well clean this up a little bit too. We'll just take it on here, on this flat 4x4, go to town. See how it roughs the edges up, but hadn't touched the center yet, so we're just going to go down until it looks nearly all touched there. And there you go. Nice and smooth all the way across, good and flat. Now you want to do it on something like this. You don't want to put it on a belt sounder or something because you'll just knock this thing down. But this is a really good trick specifically with accelerator pumps. Super common for these to be taken off and tightened down, over tightened. Most of them are the square design and they really do get warped. So hopefully that'll help you on your next leaky carburetor. As you can see, thankfully that accelerator pump nowhere near as warped. Cleans up real easy. Back on. Dad did go ahead and put our boat tank there. We've just got it up here for now. We're going to turn it over a bit and flush that nasty old stinky gas out and make sure we have fresh coming through and verified that the pump seems to be working good. Then we'll hook it up to our fresh, crusty-ish installed carburetor, start get some fuel to it, and then we'll see if it'll run. We're going to go ahead and use the electric pump. Yeah. We are dry. Let's see if the accelerator accelerates fuel. It turns out I accidentally incorrectly placed these check balls when I was messing with the carburetor. They, of course, fell on the floor. One of them drops down right there. The other one goes down here with them in place. Oh, yeah. Beautiful. Nothing. Huh? I know. Let me make sure it's firing strong.
Good?
Yep.
Oh! Yeah! It's got some spark.
It's firing like crazy. In case you wondered.
5.
Look at that valve seals down in there.
Oh yes, it should be a smoker, but it's got oil pressure. See it pushing up.
It's like $5.50 for those cartons of eggnog, and he'll go through one in 2 days and then want more. I spent $50 a week on eggnog. That math was really off, but you know what I mean. Alright, honey, I love you.
I love you.
Don't be too late. Be safe coming home.
Man, they really don't look. All the walls look so clean, so it makes me think that what's all we're seeing on the piston is actually just like that carburetor weep down over time, you know what I mean? But that could be enough to have those rings just really stuck. Oh, it's gonna blow out the end.
Be careful.
Let's see if Lucas will give this old Ford as much compression as that 350 with no head gaskets. Go ahead. She's starting to gain a little something.
It looks good.
Yep. I am afraid we're gonna have to pull that top end on this one. I'm afraid we're just not gonna see that compression come up enough, even though it is popping and firing now, to actually get this thing to start and run. With that being said, I think our best bet is not a big deal. I'd love to be able to dig into this thing anyways, although I would have loved to hear it pop off, but not a big deal. Let's go ahead and pull that intake. Let's pull these heads. Let's take a look at those cylinders. I have a feeling, it seems like most of our issues have to do with the valves. Maybe there's some trash down in there, maybe a little bit of rust or gunk or something. We can go through those heads, refresh them, hopefully get everything back together, as long as it looks good internally, and get this thing running. So let's go ahead and yank that apart. Wow, that thing's clean. Well, how awesome is that? No rust to be seen. What it actually is, and probably the reason this thing was parked, was a ton of carbon buildup. Now, what I think probably happened back in the day, it all built up and this thing started losing power because the valves weren't sealing very well and everything. And as you can see, as it sat, probably with just a little bit of moisture, all of that stuff broke up, especially once we started spinning this thing over, keeping all of our valves open, just making a mess and no compression. Just with the vacuum and a little bit of cleanup, the cylinders look perfect. We actually see some cross hatching still. That just kind of shows the mileage of this thing. It was definitely a Quaker State car for a little bit. We can see a little bit of oil sludge buildup there, or a little bit of oil crud buildup like you see with a Quaker State car. I think cleaning this thing up though, you can see all of our surfaces look really nice on everything. I think we take the time to clean it up. We kind of refresh those heads a little bit and we put it all back together. There is no doubt in my mind that this thing's gonna run. I was really concerned with the possibility of some nasty rust down in there, possibly causing us to have to completely rebuild this engine. But as good as it looks, I think we kind of clean everything up, go back together. We'll be keeping the original 221 in this car, and I think it's gonna run. Definitely cannot complain with how well the engine cleaned up as far as the pistons and the cylinders and everything, and even that valley and all. I think it'll go back together nicely, and I think this thing will do pretty good. See just how original this car is. The manifold still has the little tangs on it, never been removed. Yep, and I'm sure the reason from the factory, no gaskets. That is just shows you the machining that they did back in the day. Manifold to manifold. Again with that carbon buildup. You can see it all came out of the exhaust from the moisture. So I think most of our moisture actually came in on the exhaust side, not the intake side. There we go. That works. That works better. Gosh, taut. That is why we are taking that loose. Not much of a valve stem seal left there. And also it gives us the opportunity, slides out easy. Oh, and you see that carbon build up. We'll clean off of the valve there and verify everything. It looks like it was seating all the way around good, so it went all the way over there. We can see our seat surface here looks really good. And that valve drops in with a nice clunk. You can tell it's dropping in nicely, so we're good there. Go ahead and slide on our new valve stem seal. We can see those are really nice and tight, so I don't think we're going to have any kind of issues other than the gunk that was holding it up. There we go, and this is our little, obviously this is 27mm diesel injector socket, which just works perfect, and we're here in our big Dake arbor press, which does nicely. And then I just give it a tap tap just to make sure she's seated good. What we're gonna do to clean this varnish off, since it's not quite as clean and smooth, although not super rusty pitted, is I'm gonna put a little bit of this metal polish on it. And you may remember this from the Willys rescue. our drill on. And then I will apply pressure. We can see it's spun all the way around, so that means we'll have a nice seat all the way around there. Nice. Yeah. Nice thing with Ford versus Chevy is they the ports are not drilled all the way through, so you don't have to worry about getting a bunch of crazy sealant on there like you do with a GM product, or at least the 350. Put this down on one. All we're doing is snugging up before we torque. Now we're going in a sequence starting from the middle and working our way out either side. We're going to start with 45 foot-pounds, then 55, and we'll finish it off with 70. Is this?
Right.
And then we'll finish off with 70.
Oh my goodness, what the heck is this thing?
Always want the goop.
Yeah,
Don't want the leak.
it's good to have.
Again, starting from the center, working our way out, we'll torque the intake manifold to 22 foot-pounds. Now we know we're still on top dead center on our number 1 piston on our compression stroke. Inner mark is lined up down here, so we can just drop our distributor in. We've got our number 1 mark here. Now because of the drive from the camshaft, we kick it back just a bit, and so when we drop it in, it should drop right where we need it to. Other than our oil drive is not gonna line up. Give GM that, they had a much better design oil drive. There she goes. Well, that was definitely far more than I expected to do to attempt to get this thing to run. But now that we have compression, we've got it mostly back together here. I think it's time we try to fire this thing back off and see if it'll run. Sometimes it's just kind of the way it goes. There was a reason this thing probably got parked back in 1993 with what we had seen going on, probably some running issues, and then those probably led to what we had with it not being able to crank. So now that we've taken care of that top end, the bottom end looks good. I think we're gonna run, but let's give it a try. Hold on a second. Whoa. It runs. It just knocks. Hi, it runs. Okay. It just doesn't sound very good. Oh yeah, strong. Yeah, there she goes. Go ahead. It's coming and go. There's something in the bell housing.
Let's see if we can take.
Because the motor sounds freaking good.
Yeah, let's see if we can take the.
It sounds good.
I don't know what you're hearing, but
Well, you know the thing here. I don't know. It's a runner at least. It sounds like a rod's hanging loose, but I really don't think that's the case. And so maybe we have something in the bell housing trap back there or something that's giving us that noise, because the motor sounds healthy other than, you know, the knock. Pumping oil strong. It's a runner though. Oh my goodness. There's gonna be some like nuts laying down on the bottom of that or something, right?
I don't know. Well, that was close.
Wow, it really is very clean, isn't it? It's been rebuilt.
Maybe that's why.
I don't see anything that would hit. Sure sounds like it's... Go ahead. It's like in the starter or something.
Go ahead. Man, it seems
There you have it. Will it run after being parked in that barn in 1993? Yes, it will. Definitely took a little more than we had initially planned on. Now that we have it running,
we see we have some other issues to take care of. I think our next step is to go ahead and drop that oil pan. It's pretty easy and accessible on this one. See what's going on, see if we can get it taken care of, and then we'll have the bottom end resealed back up underneath this thing. At this point, I don't know. Maybe we should have thrown a pretty healthy little 302 in it or something, but we got to try to get them running. We don't have a ton invested into it at this point, realistically. And I'm pretty excited for this one. I hope you all are too. I think our next step is to pull this one out. I want to go ahead and get the pressure washer out. I want to blast all this barn dust off of this thing. I mean, you get dirty just looking at this thing. And let's see how well this car details up. That's really going to give us an idea of what we're working with before we get any farther than we already have been into it. But I hope you all have enjoyed this episode. If you have and you like these type of rescues, the will it runs, the rebuilds, and the restorations, be sure to subscribe button, notification bell, because that's what Dad and I do here on this channel. We bring these old forgotten cars back to life. And if you have been a part of the channel, we really do appreciate it so incredibly much. It's what gives us the ability to be able to pull these things out of their old barns, out of the fields, and get these things rescued and brought back to life. But that's going to wrap it up. Peace out, and catch you all on the flip side.